Hey everybody, Ryan McMahon here, giving a Facebook update. Yesterday we talked about where we were with the Thanksgiving surge. We'll get into that data. Unfortunately, we've had another horrible day. We've lost 6 members of the community over the last 24 hours. Two residents of the hospital, 81-year-old male, 78-year-old female, and then another 4 residents of nursing homes over the last 24 hours. We don't get that information directly. It gets reported through the State Department of Health website. These are 6 families in the community that are really hurting today. So our thoughts and prayers are with them. Please keep them in your thoughts and prayers, and please keep them in your thoughts as we change our behavior with this pandemic, because that will help. Every little thing we do will help. We'll go through hospitalizations now. We have 255 hospitalized at this point. 46 members of our community are in the ICU. We now have 22 individuals of our 255 who actually don't need hospital care anymore. They just need a negative test to be released to a nursing home. We put forward to the state a plan yesterday that would become a COVID unit facility for nursing home residents only, so that COVID unit residents could go to that facility, and people who go to the hospital that need to return but haven't tested negative yet can go to this facility. Hopefully that will get approved in short order. That will free up, again, 22 beds. So the number of 255 really is artificially high at this point because there's 233 residents of our community that need care. The capacity overall in the community is about the same over the last few days, week. Essentially, we have 5 new hospitalizations out of this number. Overall, remember, we're looking at not just COVID beds, but we're looking at everybody in the community that needs care. So that's something that we are okay with. When we look at out of the hospitalizations, 29% of the 255 number, so almost a third, are nursing home residents. It just shows you the direct impact when you get this virus in the buildings, how quickly these become hospitalizations, and it's just horrible. So on that note, question: how did the virus get into the nursing home buildings? It's not because the residents were out in the community; it's because it came from the community. So for those who are younger and who haven't had the bad outcomes, when you look at our hospitalization numbers, I think it's 2% of those in the 20s become hospitalizations. It's not so much your own health; it's who you can get sick, and then members in the community who work in these facilities get sick, and they don't know it, and they go in, and now we see what happens. So this is a community problem right now, and as a community, we need to be the solution to it. And so that goes into our new cases for the day. I want to show you a little bit of a graph. This is actually wastewater testing. Right here is Halloween. You can see the intensity. This one spike is when Syracuse University had a spike. This is from our Metro plant. But here's where we were in October. We were hedging up as we saw cases, but then we spike Halloween after Halloween. We start to come down a little bit, and then we have Thanksgiving, and we spike. So the Thanksgiving spike is bigger than the Halloween spike. Whether this is a 2 or 3 day event, and then it's a reflection on really 2-3 weeks ago. What has happened since then to try to starve the virus, we'll see. But we're going to have a rough couple days here. 466 new cases. Out of the 466, 37 of them were senior facilities, which is not good news. 32 residents, which is quite frankly very bad news. And the governor, if you saw the governor's briefing today, the governor put out a pretty comprehensive contact tracing information from across the state. Nothing different from what we see here. Again, the majority of these cases are happening inside residence and at gatherings. So what are some bad ideas? Parents, bad ideas are to let your high schools, juniors and seniors have parties or see their friends who are coming home from college. Those are bad ideas. I know that you may not be able to stop that, but we now know there have been parties that have driven many, many cases, and just not great ideas. Having people over into the house to watch a football game, a regular event, not great ideas at this point where we are with all of this. So when you have 466 cases, 70 to 80% of that's being driven by gatherings within a home, that's going to now drive all those people today that got sick, that tested positive. Many of them have families. So what's going to now happen is 15 or 20% of that 466, these are going to be new cases automatically from household contacts. And so we really need to modify our behavior to get through the holiday seasons. This is the peak circumstances for the virus to flourish anyways. We really need to be better than the virus just to keep things level at this point. And where the transmission is happening is an area where government can't really regulate. We can't regulate your activity inside your own home. So we need your help. What can we do? We can stay home when we're sick. We rule out COVID-19. We get a test. We self-quarantine until we get the results. Even if we get the result before the health department gets the result, you quarantine, start putting together your contacts within the 48 hours prior to symptoms. And you be a member of this community to beat back this virus. In addition to that testing, we've been increasing the testing. We have to identify the virus. That's how we'll isolate the virus quickly. To give you an idea on workload, 466 cases. Each case takes an hour and a half for us to investigate. And then we take the investigation to contact tracers, and then they go and call all your contacts. Think about that. Do the math. Hour and a half times 466. That's over 100 people today that if they did 5 cases each, 5 investigations each, that's how much it takes just to investigate all this. This is an incredible amount of work, absolutely incredible. So we're going to continue to do our part, but we need the community's help, or else people will get frustrated with backlogs. And so we need people to modify the gatherings in their homes, stay home when you're sick, get a test, modify your commercial activity, try to get it done in 1 day or 2 days. Don't, if you're that person like I used to be that will run an errand a day, get out of the house a little bit, we can't do that anymore. We got to minimize risk where we can, even though we know where most of the cases are being transmitted. Interesting stat, out of the 466 cases today, 4 were K through 12. 4 out of 466. That's an amazing stat. Shows you schools are safe. The virus is not transmitting in there. The vaccine, the positive news, the vaccine could be distributed to nursing homes as soon as next week. So for our most vulnerable in the community, they'll be getting that. Our assisted living facilities as well are part 1A of the plan. So it looks like the Moderna vaccine is coming to New York State in a large quantity. So within the next couple of weeks, hopefully we'll have the assisted living facilities vaccinated as well. This is just tremendous news. Much of the bad news that we've been delivering is based off of cases in nursing homes. So looking at all that, we are where we are right now. We got to grind this thing out. We need to look at the data and make decisions based off of the data. Saying that, we were pleased that the state today looked at the data related to salons and gyms. They modified some regulations for gyms, 25% capacity. There will be testing requirements, but gyms in orange zones now can be open. That's good news. Salons can now be open. We'll share the state guidance with you related to testing, but there's ample testing available right now that we're doing at the On Center and in the community. That shouldn't be an issue. So that's a little bit of positive news on the vaccine. But overall, we're fighting uphill right now in the holidays here. Hanukkah has started. We have Christmas around the corner, Kwanzaa as well. if we can stabilize through this, we'll be in good position to starve this virus in January. But we need the community's help. We got to pitch almost a perfect game to get this thing under control going into January. We need to do our best, and right now that we certainly have room for improvement. So hopefully we don't have to have another one of these tomorrow. I do anticipate a high case day tomorrow. I don't know if it'll be 466. I don't know if it'll be 350, what it will be. But the wastewater testing shows an intensity of the virus in the wastewater, which will show an intensity in cases. So please be safe. Please modify your and your family's behavior